Hello?
Hello, Matt.
Yes.
Matt, what's going on, dude? You were live right now on Metal Devastation fucking radio, man.
Oh, I'm right to it. Not even a prep. Oh, my God.
Hell yeah, dude. Right into the fucking fire, man.
All right, good. All right.
So how you been, brother? How you doing?
Well, you know, man, you know how I am. We talk quite a bit. Just a wacky, wild world that is Mad Zane and Society One and all of the things that come with it when people actually talk about it.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, you damn straight, dude. Well, there's a lot to talk about right now, man. You got a lot going on with these fucking documentaries, man, and shit. But before I get into all that, though, I do want to let you introduce yourself to the fucking world, man, just in case anybody doesn't know who the fuck we're talking to.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of new, younger generation, probably about your age, that have absolutely zero idea who I am. But the older generation does, even if they don't admit it.
Dude, I'm almost 50, man.
Oh, okay. Well, then you should know who I am. But yeah, I'm still older than you, so I got you. But you know.
But thank you, man. So yeah, tell us, man. Like, how did you fucking from going from directing fucking porn movies to fucking being a rock star to now you're back to directing fucking movies again, man? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a wild ride, man. It's a unique experience in music that like nobody else has really ever had. Despite most people never admitting it. But yeah, I started off in pornography. I was a pornographer. You know, I did probably 100 movies, maybe more, I don't know. And then from there, went into music and, you know, did that. And then within the music, I became the first guy ever to do body suspension, while singing, you know, in my band. And then from there, got into becoming a more legit director, doing a lot of music videos, big bands, you know, DMC, Wayne Static, Zakk Wylde to work with, John 5, Wednesday 13, photographed the Doors for their 50th anniversary, did a bunch of stuff like that. And then from there, really kind of unfortunate circumstance, which led to more positive things. My bass player of 17 years passed away, and the last gig that we played before he died, he told me that when he died, because he knew he was going to die before me because I was a lot healthier, that I had to make his movie about him for his funeral. So when he actually did die, I did make a movie about him, and that movie actually got picked up by a film festival and won an award. And that's when I realized that, yeah, you know, like I can do this, and it kind of reintroduced me for my love of film. You know, obviously, like I said prior to that, I was doing photography and music videos, but that's a lot different than actually making documentaries. And that's when I went back into documentary filmmaking. And, you know, now I'm just on that path, still doing the band. But, you know, the band is, you know, unfortunately, I'm never going to say on the back burner, but just not as recognized and as doesn't really have any recognition anymore. I mean, we're absolutely still doing our thing, but it's as you know, I mean, we're virtually ignored by everybody.
Yeah.
But my films aren't, which is kind of interesting.
It's very interesting, man. Yeah, I've noticed that, and it's like, what the fuck, man. I remember seeing Society One on Uranium back in the day, man. With that scene that you show in the movie, Everyone Dies. I remember seeing that. I remember seeing all that shit, man.
That was huge, man. I mean, back when, so for people that don't know, Uranium was probably argumentatively the second biggest metal show. I mean, of course, you know, Headbangers Ball probably did a bit better, but Uranium was really big. It was hosted by this absolute bombshell metal girl named Julia, Mrs. Julia. And when we did our show on Uranium, we were the first band ever at that point to actually get the entire show dedicated to us. Prior to that, it was only 15-minute segments from each band, and it was a half-hour show. So when we did our suspension video in 2002 or 2003 on that, it was a real monumental moment, not only for the show, but for us as well. And that was the first time that a lead singer ever suspended. and it was only for a music video at that point. It wasn't even real singing, but that was really, really big when that happened. And, yeah, man, that really kicked things off for the band. But I mean, we're talking, over 20 years ago now. So, these days, kids don't know who Julia is or what uranium is, nor do they really remember that. You remember it because, like you said, you gave your age away. But, yeah, man, it was a big deal. And prior to that, in the 90s, we were all over VH1 and MTV for the porn. Because we were like the first ever real porn rock band. And, I had 3 shows on VH1 and 3 shows on MTV. And that was the biggest that we were ever really in America. That even was bigger than when we were on Uranium, on Headbangers Ball and all that. So, it was, the band had its moments for sure, but it just was so long ago. There's so much media out there now that it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. And for some really weird reason, unbeknownst to me, a lot of that stuff never made it to YouTube. You can find so many things on YouTube now, but like all those appearances on all those MTV shows, everything that was on VH1, and that was all owned by Viacom. So maybe it was on purpose that it's not up there. But it was always really weird for me because when I was doing the Everyone Dies movie, I looked for a lot of that stuff when I was on Jerry Springer and when I was on like the talk shows on MTV and all those shows on VH1, and not one of them is posted. And it's really weird because you can find stuff on Gigi Allen, you can find stuff on Marilyn Manson, you can find stuff on Peter Steele, but you can't find any of those episodes that I was on. So it's just it's a very peculiar space to be in because nobody believes me because I can't even find this stuff anymore. The stuff I could find was in Everyone Dies, but unfortunately, a lot of the other stuff just it's nowhere to be found.
That's fucking wild, dude. Yeah, it's like somebody's blacklisting it, man.
Like people think they think that like I have these delusions about being blacklisted or these fantasies or whatever, but man, I'm telling you, like a lot of it doesn't make any sense, because the argument always goes that people go, oh, well, you're a nobody, you haven't sold enough records. And then I go, okay, well, then why can you still find everything on Gigi Allen?
Right.
And I love Gigi Allen, and I would never put the guy down for any reason, but the fact of the matter still remains, Gigi never played to a crowd for more than 50 people. You know what I mean? And like I've literally done festivals in front of 80,000 people making rock history suspended. So Why can't you find my Jerry Springer episode? Why can't you find all those shows I was on MTV? It's just really, really weird. I mean, I do know as a fact, and I touched upon it in the movie, that at one point Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray did get me banned from the MTV networks and VH1 networks. And I don't know if they just burned everything of me after that happened. I mean, who knows? I mean, I wish I could ask somebody, but I've never really been able to get a straight answer out of anybody before.
That's fucking bizarre, man. But at least with the documentary, though, you're getting it out there. You're putting the story out there, man, and people can see it now.
I have enough in the story for it to be believable, to prove my points, and it is on Prime Video, which is obviously huge. It's on a couple other platforms as well, but Prime Video is like really the main one. It's also on the website everyonedies.com, and there's enough content that people they are still ignoring it, but they can't deny that it happens, and that was the whole purpose of the film. The idea when I went into it was I'm not going to talk about anything that I can't prove. And obviously there's far more stories and way crazier things that happened, but nobody would ever believe me because it just doesn't work that way with me because I'm not a celebrity. Like, for example, you could talk, Alice Cooper, a very famous story that he's told multiple times over the course of his career for the last 50, 60 years. He talks about when he met Elvis and then he pulled a gun on Elvis and Elvis karate kicked him. And it's a great story. And there's literally no proof that this ever happened. But it doesn't matter because it's Alice Cooper. And anything Alice Cooper says, people are going to believe. And I'm not saying that it didn't happen. It's Alice Cooper. It probably did. But there's no proof that it happened. But if I were to tell all of my stories, people are going to look at me and say, oh, that never happened. Where's the proof? So, the Everyone Dies movie was a really interesting movie to make because, I only included a lot of the stuff that you could prove. There's a part in there where Papa Roach is talking about how they wrote one of their big hit singles about me. I have them actually talking about it in the movie. If I didn't have that footage, nobody would believe me. I mean, think about how absurd that sounds. that one of the biggest hits they ever wrote was written about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have another scene in the movie where Kelly Clarkson and I are toilet papering a house. Who would ever believe that I did that with Kelly Clarkson and American Idol if I didn't have it on tape? You know what I mean? It's just like there's another part of the movie where Dave Navarro says, yeah, man, you inspired me to start Suspension. Who would ever believe that? And the funny part about it is I have even more stories that I covered in the book, you know, because I felt that I deserved a little more leniency, and I had to put in more stuff to make the book different than the movie. But it's a tough life to live because, you know, without it, people they think I'm just making these things up. I'm like some delusional middle-aged man, just making up these stories to make myself seem cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with people, man. Like, they need to wake up, dude.
You know, dude, people in the press, they have the chosen people that they've decided that are permitted to be talked about and to be included within the context of music, whichever decade or time frame or genre they're talking about. And then there's people that are outside of that are never going to be recognized, you know? And it's just a really unfortunate thing that it really is about gatekeepers. And it doesn't really necessarily matter which way you choose to believe what you believe in or how you believe in it, because it is what it is. I mean, think about it. People always talk about the fact of, you know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame being this really bizarre club because there's all these bands that should be in it that aren't, right? And people agree on that conversation because it's a very objective. It's like the objective world. It's not a subjective. It's not opinionated. Like I don't know all the bands that aren't in there, but there's like a list of all these great bands that aren't in there yet. But what it goes to show you is that there is absolutely, parts of the industry that allow people in and allow people out. And that's like probably one of the most prominent one to prove that type of thing exists. But that type of exclusivity and that gatekeeping exists in all aspects of music, believe it or not. And people just don't understand it. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not out there and keeping certain people out. And I'm a good example of that, but there's other ones as well. You know what I mean? It's just the way that it works. And unfortunately, most people that are in just like the mundane aspects, the consumer parts of the industry or the music world, they don't get to see it, and so they just don't think that it exists. And when they hear about it, they're like, "Oh, that's not real. That doesn't really happen." Oh
yeah. Well, you know, I remember when you first reached out to me. One of the first things you said to me was that, you know, that you were looking for help with promo, and you said that you had fucking already reached out to I don't know how many people, and everybody was turning you down, and they didn't want to help you with it. And I was like, what the fuck? So at first I was like, what the hell, you know, like, what is the deal here? Like, so I tried to do a little bit of a background check on, you know, like as much as I could, you know, to see just out of curiosity, like, what am I getting myself into here? And I couldn't find anything. And I'm like, what the fuck? Doesn't make any sense. This dude's fucking got like a pretty fucking interesting career here. Like, why the hell would nobody? That's bizarre, man.
Yeah, well, by the time I found you, I had already gone through, I think, 13 or 14 publicists that wouldn't work with me with the movie. But it wasn't just that. There was also a few distributors that wouldn't work with me either. I mean, one of the distributors that wouldn't work with me in the movie, they do all of Kettle Cadavers and all of G.G. Allen's stuff. And they still wouldn't touch me.
Did they give you a reason?
No, nobody ever gives me a reason. They always say, like, okay, I just don't, you know, I'm just going to pass on this, but thank you. And they'll never give you a reason because that reason could be used in terms of promotion. You know what I'm saying? They'll never tell you why. And that's part of the game. It's called almost like, you know, there's a thing called the Hollywood no, where in Hollywood, if they don't want to work with you, sometimes they won't even tell you. They'll just like not talk to you because they don't want to be the person on record to turn you down, just in case you ever do make it. But you know, with a lot of these people, I mean, they were very, very nice in the way that they decided not to work with the project, but they're never going to tell you the actual reason as to why. It's just the way that the game works. I mean, you know, we've worked together on various things, and there were a few projects that you didn't feel comfortable working with, but you would tell me the reason, you know, so you actually have more balls than even those people, because they wouldn't even give me a reason, you know. But I think ultimately, if you really have to think about it, you know, dude, it's difficult because people, again, because I'm unknown and because I'm super underground, even though I've been around for 30 years, you know, the reality is that, unfortunately, me as a complete artist, if you look at the entirety of everything that I've done, it really is the most controversial probably in the history of all music. And I know that's a really absurd statement to make for somebody that's never sold 1 million records, but it's very difficult to argue. And that is what I really think it comes down to it, because when you really include everything from the you know, the defacing the Quran to the video about the Hitler video and the swastikas and playing Hitler, to the not even self-mutilation, the fans mutilating me on stage, to the borderline sexual assaults that happened at our shows, to the, you know, first guy ever to do suspensions. You know, the list goes on and on and on. You know, I just think that it's too much for anybody, because if you really pile it all together, it's more than anything Gigi did. It's more than anything Manson did. It's more than anything Kanye West did. You know what I mean? And it's just the truth. It's not a matter of me bragging. It's not about me trying to say I've done stuff that, you know, could be arguably worse than all those guys. It just is. You know what I mean? There's people that have come close, but when you put it all together, there's nobody. You know, and like I have to say, again, I think you're a super cool dude or whatever, but you've experienced that yourself. There's been lines that even you wouldn't cross, and you're like a super metal dude.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's certain things. It's just like, you know, well, I might enjoy it, you know, and I might find the comedy in it, and I see, you know, I get it myself, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, who the fuck am I going to send this to, you know, like, you know, but, I mean...
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, if when you've known my career now, you know, a bit more intimately than a lot of people, I mean, when you really add it all up, I mean, you've been in the music business for a while, and you're you know, you have the show, and you're a publicist, and you do shows. I mean, have you really ever come across another artist in its entirety that has really pushed the limits to the level that I have?
No, not to that limit, man. Fucking
yeah. And so there you go. That could just be the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, I could truly be real opposition. I could be the level that other people just are afraid to go to. I mean, dude, let's think about it. Like, you've got a video with Manson, you know, where he's like masturbating in a Bible. You've got a video with Rammstein where he does the same thing. He jerks off into a Bible. And who, you know what I mean? And the way I look at it is, who gives a shit?
Right.
You know, going against Christianity in these days is nothing. It's done by everybody. There's so much sacrilegious stuff out there. It's almost become an acceptability and almost a hallmark within the metal world. But nobody's ever done that to the Quran before. The last person that ever defaced the Quran was murdered. Happened 3 years ago in Europe.
Yeah.
And here I am putting it blatantly out in a music video, and it's still up there. You can still see it. You know what I mean? So, like, it's inarguable at this point. Like, I'm just that guy. They're never going to give me the credit, or maybe I'll get the credit in 25 years when there's a new generation of people that are born that look at everything from an objective point of view and don't have like these personal, predilections for guys that are already out there that have sold more records. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of it just has to do with a love, like with a refusal to see that there's somebody out there that has usurped their favorite artist who they want to believe is the king of the crop in terms of, ideas, concepts, or just shock rock or whatever. You know, let's face it, you know, Rammstein and Manson are loved. They're absolutely loved. And they're legends. I don't take anything away from them. They've written some great music, but, you know, if you're really going to, you know, compare, there's really only one guy that has superseded both those guys. You know what I mean? Combined.
Yeah. Wasp too, man. Like I remember, in the '80s, fucking they were doing fucking crazy shit too, But
dude, I mean, they were throwing raw meat out into the crowd. Yeah. I mean, he had a cod piece on that was a chainsaw, and he threw spikes out of his dick. I think that it's cool. I think it was great for the time. But again, dude, you're comparing. Not you, but like generally, when these people are comparing stuff like that, throwing raw meat out into the crowd, or even Iggy Pop or Sid Vicious or Gigi Allen cutting themselves on stage, and then I'm suspending. I'm literally sticking metal hooks through my back, bleeding down my back, swinging over the audience, spraying blood on the audience. I mean, you tell me. I mean, honestly, is there really any comparison?
Well, and a lot of what those guys were doing was for show, and what you're doing is actually fucking like you're actually doing shit. Like you're literally doing shit. Like real shit.
Look, Gigi Allen did shit, literal shit.
Yeah.
I don't take anything away. I don't take anything away from Iggy Pop for being the pioneer, huge influence, love the guy. I'm just saying it's just funny that there's a refusal within the industry to acknowledge my place. And it's funny because it's just incredibly blatant. You know what I mean? Alice Cooper once said, what else are you going to do? Cut your arm off? There's nothing else to be done in music. And he's just ignoring what I have done, because I can point to 5, 6, 7 things that never happened on stage until me.
Yeah, well, you're fucking doing it, man. Fucking, and I think it's fucking awesome, dude. And yeah, that scene in that video where you're smearing fucking jizz and shit in the Quran, fucking, that was hilarious, dude. I was laughing my ass off when I was watching. I was like, what the fuck, man? This guy's fucking nuts, dude. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, people still think I'm going to die from that video, and maybe I will. I mean, who knows? Fuck
religion, man. All religions, dude. Fucking all that shit, man. It's all fucking bullshit, man. It's all just...
And that may be true, but nobody will ever publicly dismiss the Islamic religion in the same way that I had, except for that one other guy that did it in a slightly less offensive way, and he was murdered.
Yeah. Well, so take us back, man, to the very beginning. I want to know, like, I was going to ask you, like, how did you go from the porn industry to music? But before that, like, how did you even get into the fucking porn industry? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I mean, I talk about it in my book. It's really super simple. My father was a producer. Wasn't a director. He was a producer and a distributor. And that's simply how I got into it. One day I asked him, can you hook me up with somebody to learn how to, direct porn films? And he made a few calls. And next thing you know, I was on sets learning from other directors in the business. So, I mean, it was super nepotism, originally to get into the film. And, I've never shied away from or tried to deny that like so many other people in Hollywood. But it wasn't nepotism to the fact like my father was a director. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like I went to the business and became a producer distributor and actually just took whatever he did over, like I just did something different within the business that he was already in. But he absolutely made the call and got me on the sets, which started my career. And that's how it all began.
Now, were you into music? Like, did you want to make music before that? Was that always something that was sort of in your mind, or?
Yeah, I was a musician first. I was playing gigs from the 13 years old on. I went to GIT before I was a porn director. I have a degree from GIT for guitar. So I was very much a musician. I was playing clubs, dude, when I was 17 on the Hollywood Strip, literally the same time that Korn was up the street playing clubs. We were all in the scene at the same time. Me, Korn, Weezer, Incubus. I knew all those dudes.
Yeah, man. Fucking 90s, dude. I remember. Well,
yeah, like I was literally on the strip in 92. Playing those same clubs as all those other guys.
So at what moment did it click that you just decided that you wanted to go from that to full fucking on into the music industry?
What, like from porn into the music industry?
Yeah, like where Society One fucking, started, like how was that?
Well, because I always wanted to do music, but when I went into the porn industry, I just waited about a year and then I just got back into music. And that's when I combined and made that whole porn to rock thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was just, I always wanted to get back into it. I just didn't know the avenue back. Because originally, dude, again, a point that I bring up in my movie, I was on the scene with all those other bands, but they all got signed. And I didn't. I was the only one out of all of them. And the one that really fucked me up, believe it or not, was when Korn got signed. Because they were really doing a lot of what I wanted to be doing. They were doing it much better. My sound wasn't developed as much. Those guys are a bit older than me. And when they got signed, I really felt like, oh man, like this is a bummer. And that's when I went into the adult industry. And then I figured, okay, well, I'm never going to be ignored again. I'm not going to be overlooked like I was when all these guys that I freaking knew got signed. I was in freaking school in big band with Rivers from Weezer. I used to look at the guy every day. I was in class the day he came in and told me that he got signed. Real story, And so when I was into porn, I was like, all right, I'm just going to combine this porn and rock stuff, and I'm never going to be ignored ever again. Which is funny because I wasn't for a while, and now I'm back to being ignored because now I'm too extreme.
At one point in the movie, you mentioned that being in a band, you actually had like the parties and stuff backstage were actually wilder. There was more girls and everything than when you were in the porn industry. Can you touch on that?
Well, no, the porn industry backstages and parties were the most intense. The band stuff was very intense, but not as intense. The porn always ruled out all the debauchery the most, but the band stuff didn't fall too far behind. And I think a lot of that was because my reputation probably followed me into the music. And then, when we got in there, we, for whatever reason, we had far more girl groupies than like your typical metal band for whatever reason. I didn't necessarily understand it, but yeah, it was just really absolutely, insane. I mean, it was a pretty wild time.
You guys were like magnets for it, man.
Yeah, it really was, man. I mean, and it was to the point where, some nights there was too many girls. Like we couldn't even handle them all. There was one night I remember specifically that we had 14 girls in our hotel room, the band hotel room, and we didn't know what to do because there was only 4 of us. And what ended up happening on tours was that other bands that were on tour would come to our hotel rooms after the show because we'd have a surplus of women and we'd like pair them up with the girls that we didn't want. Because they'd always end up in our room, and it just got so ridiculous to the point there was literally, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 girls in a room at a time. You know what I mean? And I don't care how big of a stud you think you are, but when you're on the road, maybe you can handle 3 a night, but you're not handling any more than that.
Hell yeah. Well, you talked about, what were you guys doing? You had the Backstage Sluts fucking series or something that you were doing?
That was back in the Porn to Rock days, the original album, the Slacker Jesus album. And that's when I decided to put in rock stars into porno movies and to tell groupie stories and stuff like that. And yeah, it was huge, man. That's what ended up getting me in all the magazines back in the day and on VH1 and stuff. But yeah, you had everybody in those things, man. Jonathan Davis, Fred Durst, Orgy, Lynn Straight from Snot, Lemmy from Motorhead, a bunch of people, man. It was pretty wild. That's what ended up ruining the relationship with Lemmy. At the time, because I put him in a movie and we had a release party for it, and my band was sound checking before he was supposed to go up, and he thought we were sound checking too long. And I gave him a bottle of Jack and sent him a porn star over to his table, but it wasn't good enough. He just refused to play that night, and he was supposed to play the release party for Backstage Sluts 1.
Wow.
Yeah, and he never liked me again after that. That caused a rift between us that was never mended. I almost tried to mend it once at the Rainbow, but he looked at me and gave me a really dirty look and like a snicker, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to approach this because there's no winning no matter what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You ruffled some feathers, I guess, man.
Dude, I ruffled feathers with him. First time I met Ozzy, the only time I met Ozzy, he was totally disgusted by me, didn't want to even be in the same room as me.
Really?
Oh, yeah, man. Like, that's the hardest one to take out of all of them, to be completely honest with you. Because, okay, not a lot of people realize this, but the very first thing that Society One ever did was a Black Sabbath cover for a Black Sabbath tribute album on a real record label. That was the first time we ever did anything legit. That was before Slacker Jesus. That was in 1998. The very first song that anybody ever heard of us was a Black Sabbath song, Who Are You, off of a Black Sabbath tribute album, right? So I was a huge fan, huge fan. So I'm starting to blow up and make it. And I was out one night seeing Soulfly in the middle of Hollywood, maybe in 97, 98, maybe. 98, I think. 98 or 99. And I'm up in this VIP room, and there's a couple other people up there. My publicist is up there. He got me up there. And a huge security guard came in, and he just cleared out the whole room. But he let me and my security guard stay. And I never know if he did it because he was starstruck or if he thought I was going to get him blown or whatever the reason was. But he let us stay. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? Whatever, I'm watching the show. Really great set. And then all of a sudden, Ozzy Osbourne walks in. You know what I mean? And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm thinking in my mind, here it is. I'm finally going to be able to talk to Ozzy Osbourne. Because at the time, I'm finally meeting all these stars. I'm meeting Marilyn Manson, Billy Corgan, whatever. Phil Anselmo, Dimebag Darrell, whatever. But this is Ozzy Osbourne. He walks in. He has those purple sunglasses on. He tilts his head down, tilts his sunglasses down. He sees me. We lock eyes. We're standing maybe 2 feet away from each other. And I'm in my mind being ready to be like, I'm trying to think about what the hell I'm going to say, He gives me the most disgusted look, doesn't say one word to me, puts his glasses back up, turns around, and walks out. Walks out of the VIP area. And I was just like, what the hell just happened? My publicist runs out of the room. He sees Sharon, runs right up to Sharon, and I see them like from across the room talking. He's like profusely apologizing, whatever. And then he just walked up to me afterwards and he's like, oh, okay, I smoothed it out. It's all good. It's all good. But he never told me what the hell they talked about or what the hell happened. And I always thought I was going to see him again at some point to like figure it out, but I never did. And the one time that I worked with Zakk Wylde after that, I didn't want to like really bug Zakk because it was the first time I met him. And he was being nice, so it was just kind of, and I was directing him in a commercial for something that he was doing. But yeah, I never got to find out what the deal was, but that's my unfortunate Ozzy Osbourne story. And I know that a lot of people will tell their good Ozzy Osbourne stories, and it's been all over the place because he just recently passed, but I can't lie. Like, I have an unfortunate one, you know what I mean? And that's it. That's what happened.
Yeah, I wonder what happened, man. Like, I wonder, fuck. I mean, I wouldn't know, how do you take that, man?
I think that probably what happened is that a lot of things that happened back then when I was primarily the porno guy before I was also the suspension guy or the video director or the movie director or the photographer. I was just the porno guy. And I was so all over MTV and VH1. Literally, for 1 year, you could flip back and forth between the two channels and see me on there. I was getting recognized everywhere. I'm assuming that he must have seen one of the shows with me on it and just been disgusted and not want to open that can of worms and be associated with me, because that was the look that he gave me. It wasn't a dismissal. It was a disgusted look. Like, he recognized me and was disgusted. So I'm guessing it was just honestly, like a lack of respect. Like, he just didn't. He probably was like, fuck that guy, and why the fuck he is in my VIP? Why didn't he get cleared out like everybody else? And it sucks, man, because, I have to see, like, young blood be, accepted and have this friendship with Ozzy. And I used to be young blood at one point, I mean, I was never like that. He came from the Disney Channel, let's be honest. But my point being is, like, an upcoming artist that was young, I was that young kid in that VIP lounge. You know what I mean? Like seeing Ozzy, and instead of it going the route where he liked young blood and had a lot of respect for him and the whatever and was on his farewell show, it went the complete 180 opposite direction. You know what I mean? And that's really the way that I felt my whole career, just of never really getting any respect or ever really being included in any of the stuff. So yeah, man, it's a tough pill to swallow, but what are you going to do? It's like when you're somebody like me, who truly pushes the limit and is really the true opposition, you have to accept those moments.
Well, tell us about this new upcoming documentary about Wayne Static, man.
Yeah, I mean, this caused quite the commotion. I'm sure you saw obviously everything that happened with the announcement of it.
Oh yeah.
Man, it's something that should have been done in 2014. I knew Wayne. I knew Tera. I knew Wayne for 15, 16 years. I did, his promo, Pig Hammer promo, Assassins of Youth video. I directed his final video he ever did with DMC called Noise Revolution. I knew his wife before he did. I was a director for Tera when she was in the adult film film industry when they met. Like, I knew these two incredibly personally. I had a very unique experience because of the 7 years that they were together. There was a lot of people that were in and out of that camp, to say the least. But I was the only one that was there from the beginning all the way to the end. It was actually there even before Wayne met Tera. I was with her, and then obviously after he passed. So what ended up happening was amongst all the work that we did, after we did the DMC video, Wayne emailed me and said, "Hey, I got a project for me, you, and Tera, and I got to talk to you about it." And basically what it was like a reality show docu-series type thing that he wanted to put together. And we talked about it and worked on it for like a month, but we just really couldn't get anything going for it in terms of interest and outside funding. And he didn't have the funding at that time to do it. And honestly, I was a fledgling new director, and I didn't have the funding to do it. I could have done a week, but I couldn't do a month. You know what I mean? Which is kind of what I think they wanted to do. It was like 3 weeks or a month up in the desert. It wasn't even in LA. It was up at their desert house. So we decided to put the project on hold, and then we just never got back to it because the next time I saw them after talking to them about the project was at the last show that he ever played at the Glass House. I was there with my band. I was supposed to actually do that 2-week tour, but I had, music video obligations. And then he died like 2 months later. So we just never were able to go back to it. So originally I just sat on the music that we did together, sat on all the filming that we had. And, it just really wasn't the right time to do it yet. I think what kind of sidelined this project a little bit was the fact that Tera died, and that obviously put me in a really weird headspace for the whole thing. And then the band got back together at Static X without Wayne, and when that happened, I knew those guys, and I wanted to kind of give them their space to do their thing and work out their thing and not really step on their toes. And that's the honest truth about it. And like that, it was their thing to do. I provided private footage that I had of Wayne for their music videos that Wayne sang on. So I was supportive of what they were doing to keep Wayne's music alive and his unreleased music to get it out there. But now that band has shifted slightly. They've done 2 records with Wayne. Then they have like the robot guy now singing, and it's obviously different than what it was. And I feel that it's been enough time now that I can do my film and not really step on their toes, And so I just thought, all right, you know what? It's time to fulfill the wish that Wayne and Tera wanted, and I'm going to do it. And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of hate came down with the announcement.
Yeah, but it made the news, dude. So it got it out there, man.
Yeah, and I hope it continues to make the news. Next step is going to be the Indiegogo campaign.
Fuck yeah, man. There's also some unreleased music that you talk about that you're putting together that has him. You guys were working on. Can you tell us about that? Yeah,
and again, it's not as cool as people may think, but it did happen. So in 2008, many years before he died, his wife was in the porn industry, and we were doing a series called Radium, and I said to Wayne, I go, hey, we're trying to push her like a new host for like a new metal show. We're interviewing all these bands and stuff. What if, you did some music that's really going to put it over the top? And Wayne said, yeah, let's do it, And unfortunately, so we started working on the music. I have some pictures of when we were over at his Burbank house and a couple of film clips, but not much. And the reason being is that when we worked on it, Warner Brothers stepped in and said, you got to be out of your fucking minds. You're not going to be in this movie because it's a freaking X-rated movie, triple X movie. So they squashed it like really fast. And Wayne said, oh, dude, they squashed it, but, I'll still be in the movie and say that I made the music, but you got to silhouette me. Like, so you can hear my voice and see my hair, but you can't see my face. And I was like, yeah, dude, whatever. And then he just sent me over all the music, and he just goes, look, dude, like, just finish it. You know what I mean? So I just threw something together for like little bits and pieces for the movie, and I sent it back to him. And I have an email still that he sent me saying, yeah, this is really cool. I like what you did with it. But then it just went in a box, okay? Because we just thought it was a goof. It was basically music that we were making for her movie. You know what I mean? For this porno movie. And it was sounding like Wayne Static music, but, but the problem is why I never did anything with it is because it was just like on CDs and stereo format. And up until the last couple years, you could never split music that was already mixed down. But now you can take stems from, finished music. Yeah. So now I can take all that music that we did and I can put it, into the computer, and I can actually split it up, and now hopefully I can finish 1 or 2 or maybe 3 tracks that we work together on and include it in some form in the movie, whether it be background music or one completed song or something, like just something to just get the music out there. So it's not a lot of music. It's not completed by any means, but it is absolutely real music that we did work on, that he worked on, that he played on, that he's on, that I'm going to, do the best that I can to, finish and get, in there in some form. So, again, I'm not trying to make it more than it is, but it really does exist, and it is real. It really is Wayne Static.
Dude, I think, technology is fucking wild, dude, man. Some of that shit is so crazy, but like that's one of the coolest things that's come out recently, I think, in my opinion, is the ability to be able to go back and split stems of shit like that and remix it, do whatever you want to do with it, and you just like that's amazing, dude. Like we couldn't do that shit a long time ago, like I mean,
I know, that's why I sat on the music for so long, because it wasn't usable, it wasn't shareable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now I can actually lift off parts of Wayne's voice and his guitars that he played on, and I'm going to obviously replace the drums because everything we were doing was like demos, like old drum machines and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to absolutely keep Wayne's guitars and whatever little bits of his voice that I have. But, we'll see. And again, if nothing else, I'll just use it for background music to be, authentic background music if I can. But I'm pretty sure I can get at least 1 song, hopefully, maybe 2. But that's going to be the last thing I work on because the movie, for me, there's a lot of unreleased footage that people are going to see. And I'm also talking to some people that were very close to Wayne. One guy in particular, that I don't want to mention his name yet, that was with them a lot the last year that they were alive. And I'm trying to work out a deal to get a lot of exclusive footage that he shot of them during that year that was never made public. So my first and foremost goal is to get them as people into the movie as much as possible. I really want this to be, I want them to play themselves. I want to keep the recollections of them and other people talking about them down to a minimum and have them speak and appear as themselves as much as I possibly can, because I don't want anybody to accuse me of making this movie that it isn't based in reality or truth. I want you to be able to see Wayne and Tera as much as possible and say, okay, well, I can't dispute it. That's them. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, Matt, one of the things I like to ask everybody that comes on the show is like, looking back on your career, what's some of the craziest fucking shit you've ever seen backstage or on stage or whatever? I'm sure you've got a fucking mountain of this, but so what's some shit that like sticks out in your mind, just some really fucked up wild shit that maybe not everybody knows about?
Well, I don't know about that it's something that not everybody knows about, but I'll tell you what, like for me, the suspensions that I did on stage were obviously crazy and insane, never had been done before at the time, but since then people have done suspensions, so it doesn't seem retrospectively as crazy as it did back then in the context of when it happened. But I can tell you the craziest thing that we ever did on stage that still gets talked about to this day, that was in the movie, that people still can't believe, that was never done until we did it, and then it's never been done since, that people are still the most disgusted by, is when I used to get my salad tossed on stage from my guitar player. And that is probably got to be the most disgusting, wild thing that's ever happened. And it happened multiple times, and it's never happened with any band ever since.
Hell yeah, man.
So does that count?
Yeah, that definitely counts, man. How the fuck does shit like that happen, man? Like, what did you guys talk about it before it happened, or it's just sporadic?
I don't know. We were so out of our minds back then that dude, it's so funny because my guitar player Eric Kluber, who's in the band now, we were in rehearsal getting ready for this last show that we did because we're shooting the sequel to the movie. He was like, was your guitar player just all fucked up on drugs every night, like out of his fucking mind? How the hell did he do that? Like, you're like, what the fuck? Like, he couldn't even believe it. And everybody always asked the same question. All I can tell you is I do remember that I would moon the crowd at some point, right?
Yeah.
That's how it started. And then, like, then I would be like spreading my ass, because people were like, Tommy Lee used to moon the crowd after he played his drum solo. That wasn't anything new.
Right.
Then obviously there was G.G. Allen, like he would be totally naked and shit on stage. So I would be like mooning the crowd, and then I don't know what the fuck happened one day. I don't know if it was the guitar player's idea, if it was my idea. He had this like really long tongue. I don't know how the fuck it happened, dude, but it happened. And after it happened and people started like puking and just like losing their shit and rioting sometimes.
Really?
Like, oh yeah. I don't know how but it just kept progressing. And that's ultimately what happened with the band back in those days, because these days we try to put on a show up to the line to give people the best possible shock rock show you can get. But these days there's so many cameras, you'll end up in jail in 1 second. But back then we didn't care. So we actually did illegal shit. And that's obviously illegal. You can't have somebody shoving their tongue up your ass, on stage. And these were all ages shows most of the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. We were just out of our fucking minds. Like it was all about understanding and knowing who G.G. Allen was, but then going, well, we're not going to shit on stage. One, because that's disgusting. Not that like eating somebody's ass isn't, but like he already did it. So, it was the same thing. It was like, well, tons of people cut themselves, and Marilyn Manson just did it 3 years ago. What are we going to do? Oh, suspension. Never been done before. You know what I mean? Then it was like, oh, G.G. Allen shit on stage. So what are we going to do? Oh, eat my ass on stage. You know what I'm saying? And then it was just like, oh, well, Al Jurgensen has a really cool mic stand with like skulls on it. What are you going to get? Oh, I got it. I'm going to get a custom made mic stand with my dick, but in metal, that's on the mic stand. And we're going to call it the dick mic, and chicks are going to suck it when we play live and grab it, which never happened until I did that as well. And you can still see the dick mic. We see it in the movie. We feature it in the movie. So that's just kind of the way that things happened, and it just progressed. And they're still, to a certain extent, progressing that way. And that's why even after the movie, which wasn't included in the movie because we never done it up until the comeback show at the Whiskey, where we actually had a fan come up out of the crowd and gave them a knife and let them cut me open while I was singing. That never happened until us. So it's just a progression, like always looking to go that next level, and also recognizing the things that came before us, and just not being a ripoff. Because, let's face it, like you can't rip anybody off these days and without getting called out for it because of the internet. Back in the old days, in the mid-'90s, when Marilyn Manson was ripping everybody off, it was easy because the internet didn't exist. So when he cut himself, people just thought he's the best in the world. They didn't know that G.G. Allen was just doing it a year earlier. You know what I mean? When he was like, being assless up on stage, they didn't realize that G.G. Allen already did that. You know what I mean? When he was on the stilts, they didn't realize the guy from Skinny Puppy already did it. So, he got away with it. But it's not like that with us. We can't do stuff that other people did because immediately it's like, oh, you're a big ripoff, So, anyways, that's kind of some of the stuff that happened currently, and that's some of the stuff that happened, back then. As far as backstage is concerned, dude, like, you could just make up your wildest thing, and we probably did it times 10. Like, I could tell you sexual stories, but I mean, they're pretty fucking graphic, dude. Like, it gets pretty wild.
Tell us something, man. Tell us something fucking wild, dude.
Well, I remember one time we had a girl come backstage, and she was in the hotel room afterwards, and she said, I want to show you something. And she took all her clothes off, and this is just me and her, and she went into the bed, and she took a razor blade, and she carved my initials into her stomach, okay? And then she's like, now I want you to fuck me. And as I was fucking her, the blood was pumping out of my initials on her stomach. And then she wanted me to finish and come on her bloody wounds. And then after that happened, she rubbed all the blood and the cum together. And then she just wanted me to watch her masturbate as she pushed it down in between her legs and then finished herself off with the bloody cum.
Wow.
Is that enough for you, dude? Have you ever heard a story like that?
That's pretty fucking crazy, dude.
Listen, man.
Hell yeah.
My band, our life, everything, there's never been a more extreme band. It's never happened. They may never give us the credit for it. And you know what, dude? My life at this point, honestly, is so much fucking fun. And it's still pretty wild, even at 51 years old. I honestly don't even really care anymore. I'm kind of living in my own world at this point. And, it's so undeniable. And I kind of believe that it may not happen for another 10 to 15 years, but somebody's going to recognize it at some point, and we're just going to be known as those guys. So thank you for helping us out.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, well, what's coming up next for you guys, man? What do you have what do you have that you want to announce to these people, man?
So, as far as the band is concerned, we're doing the sequel to Everyone Dies right now, called Rise from the Dead. It's very different from the first movie. The big complaint that we got from the first movie was, hey, dude, cool, great story, absolutely insane shit, but there's no music. And so we were like, good point. Touche. So this next movie we're coming out with does have interviews. It does show some wild backstage stuff, but it's all current. It's all stuff that's happened this year in 2025. And it's going to have a lot of music in it. Full songs from us performing at the Whiskey, the Viper Room, and in the studio. So it's primarily like a music doc, but there is going to be some stuff in between the songs. And it's going to be like the unofficial kind of sequel to Everyone Dies. That's the next thing that's happening with the band. As far as my directing career is going, as we discussed, it's going to be the Wayne Static and Tera documentary that I'm going to be starting January 2026. And that's it, man. Those are the two big projects that are on my table right now. And I'm literally, as soon as we're done talking, I'm jumping back into editing the last show we did last weekend from the Viper Room, and then this weekend I shoot the Indiegogo campaign for the Wayne Static and Tera doc, and then we're just going to be getting those done and getting those out. Hopefully. One early next year and one late next year. That's the goal.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, I guess I'm about out of questions for you, man. Fucking, before I let you go, can I get you to make us a station tag real quick?
Sure.
Whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is Matt Zane, and you're listening to Metal Devastation motherfucking radio."
This is Matt Zane, and you're listening to Metal Devastation fucking radio.
Fuck yeah, dude. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, dude. I really appreciate it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blast some more Society 1 for these motherfuckers so they go crazy, all right?
Great. Oh, man, we totally forgot to talk about the Kurt Cobain video. Yeah, anyways.
No, dude, tell me about that, man, because that's pretty fucking crazy, too, dude. Like, you acting out the whole fucking shooting and everything, man. What the fuck, dude?
Well, no, it's more than acting out. We made a digital recreation of the room that he committed suicide in. Yeah. And then it got banned within 2 minutes up on YouTube.
But where can people go to see that shit?
I put it up on everyonediesthemovie.com. If you scroll to the bottom, you can go check it out.
Hell yeah, there you go, man. There you go, man. Fuck them, man. All right, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, man, we're gonna blast this shit and keep us fucking tuned in, man. Whatever you're doing, let us know and we'll put it out there, dude.
Will do. Thank you so much.
All right, later, Matt.
Talk to you later.
There you have it, folks. Matt Zane from Society 1 live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation fucking radio. Like I said earlier, put your speakers in your fucking windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your neighbor's driveway, do whatever you got to do, man. If you don't see U-Haul trucks everywhere tomorrow, what the fuck are you even doing, dude? Crank it up, motherfuckers.